I bought my parents a $425,000 Seaside mansion for their 50th anniversary, but when I arrived, my mother was crying and my father was shaking. My sister's family had taken over, and her husband pointed at the door, shouting, "This is my house, get out." I bought my parents a $425,000 mansion by the sea. When I arrived, my mother was crying into a dish towel. My father was shaking so hard his glasses had slid down his nose, and my brother-in-law was pointing at the door, screaming, "This is my house now, get out." I shut the front door behind me and said, "Interesting, tell me again whose house this is." My sister Vanessa leaned against the kitchen archway drinking wine from Mom's crystal glasses. Mom's crystal glasses. "Ethan, don't be dramatic," she said. "They don't need all this space. You won't care." Craig, her husband, 240 pounds of borrowed confidence, pushed a cardboard box toward my father's feet. "Door's right there, old man. Use it." My father's lips moved. Nothing came out. That's when I really looked at my mother's wrist. Shadow-colored. Not fresh, but enough. Someone had grabbed her too hard. I pulled out my phone. Craig's face shifted. "Who are you calling?" "The police." "For what?" "Trespassing. Elder intimidation. And whatever they decide after they see Mom's wrist." Vanessa's wine glass hit the counter too hard. "We're family, Ethan." "No," I said. "Mom and Dad are family. You're an intruder with our last name." The officers arrived in 12 minutes. Craig transformed instantly. Shoulders relaxed, voice calm, face full of wounded innocence. Vanessa cried on command, telling them she was only trying to help aging parents transition responsibly. Then I handed the officer 3 things. A copy of the deed, my name, only my name, the occupancy agreement my attorney had drafted before my parents ever moved in, and the security system logs showing Craig had changed the access code 2 days ago. Craig stopped performing. Then my father found his voice. He grabbed Helen by the wrist, Dad said. "Told me to stop acting like a man unless I was ready to be treated like one." The room went absolutely still. Vanessa did not laugh this time. Officer Martinez asked everyone to sit. Craig launched into a speech about a software executive waving money to control his family. I let him finish. "I bought this house," I said, "so they could wake up to the ocean after 50 years of waking up before sunrise just to survive." Then the neighbor appeared at the door. Mrs. Klein, cardigan, gardening gloves, expression like a blade. "The tall one has been yelling for days," she told the officers. "Yesterday, the older gentleman was locked out for 20 minutes. I nearly called then." Vanessa covered her face. Craig stared at the floor. The officer turned to them both. "Mr. Dalton, Mrs. Dalton, gather essential belongings and leave the premises today." Craig's voice cracked. "You're kicking out a family with children? You're being directed to leave a property where you're no longer welcome following allegations of threats and physical intimidation." They packed while the officers watched. That's when we saw how far it had gone. Dad's fishing rods stuffed in trash bags. Mom's quilts in bins marked donate. Vanessa's dresses hanging in Mom's closet. Craig's shaving kit beside Dad's sink. And in the study, Dad's navy box sitting open on the desk. Medals. Old letters. A folded flag from his brother's funeral. A stack of printer paper dumped on top of it. Dad lifted that flag with both hands. He turned to Craig. "You will never speak to my wife again." Craig tried a smile. "George, my name," Dad said quietly, "is Mr. Whitaker to you." Then he looked at Vanessa, something in his voice I had never heard before. 40 years of grace, finally done being mistaken for weakness. "You will not call your mother for money. You will not send the boys asking for gifts. You brought this into our home." Vanessa looked stunned, like consequences were a language no one had ever made her learn. By sunset, the truck was loaded. I found out later they hadn't come for a visit. Their house in New Jersey was heading to foreclosure. Craig had lost his job after falsifying expense reports. Vanessa's online business was staged photos and maxed credit cards. They came to steal a rescue instead of asking for one. The plan was simple. Occupy long enough, guilt my parents into the guest cottage, then pressure me to make it official. It collapsed because Craig got impatient. He grabbed my mother too hard. He mistook my father's gentleness for surrender. He walked into a house with his name on nothing and my name on everything. As the truck pulled away, Vanessa looked back once from the passenger seat. I didn't wave. Dad put his arm around Mom on the porch, both of them watching the ocean like it had always belonged to them. Because it had. Full story on channel, link below.